and welcome to Romdo. This is episode number 3, the one about VR, or the virtual one. How about the virtual one?
This is not reality, we are fake.
Are you sure?
Pretty sure.
I feel like you do.
Oh, it's supposed to be a joke.
Okay.
We're keeping the failed theme from last episode, I assume.
I guess.
No. Please no. Anyway.
So, I'm your host, Alex Rise. I'm here with Eric Harton.
Yeah. Hello.
Jim Merberg.
Hello, hello.
And we're not real, we're in virtual reality.
Well, we're in different countries, so that's kind of close.
Yeah, it's...
Perhaps.
You could say we're doing this virtually, Eric.
Yep. Well, Skype is virtual reality to some people.
Yep. Did we have any comments or corrections or emails from last episode?
Not really.
Guys, please send us feedback.
Well, we did have at the last episode. We did have where Alex had edited it to less than an hour, I guess, and we had a discussion where we were talking about how this is almost at 2 hours.
Yeah.
At around 50 minutes or something. So.
Yep. Although that was kind of left in intentionally for the fail theme, I guess.
Yeah, if you're bothered about it, read the fucking show notes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, what's everyone been playing, actually?
So, I've picked up on your fighting game mania, Eric, and I got started again on Street Fighter, and I've been madly playing it for the last 4 or 5 days. Kind of having to relearn the game and learn to think a bit like an advanced player instead of an intermediate player that just knows the special moves, but you have to really know how fighting games work before you actually do something.
Okay. And we played a set of 11 games, I guess.
Yes, you won them all, of course.
well, the last one went to the wire, but I don't know how to play Rufus, so there's that one.
Oh, I won you 1 round, I think, in total, so it's still not a 0-0 win.
Well, what about Jim? Still going on the Witcher binge?
Yep, I'm still just playing Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So I am planning on playing what's it called? The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and also Everyone's Gone to the Rapture when that comes out next week.
Oh, never heard of either of those.
So the Vanishing of Ethan Carter is like a 4-hour indie game, but it looks really pretty, and it's supposed to be really good. And Everyone's Gone to the Rapture is an upcoming PS4 game that looks quite interesting as well. And nobody really knows what it's about yet, I guess. It looks to be a first-person kind of mystery thing.
A walking simulator, from what I gathered.
A little bit. It could be confused with a walking simulator if they had labeled it as such instead, but it seems to have some quite interesting story and stuff around it, so...
I thought World of Warcraft was that, a walking simulator.
True.
But you get to fly too.
Oh yeah, you can fly now, but not in Draenor.
It's a walking and it's a walking/flight simulator.
Yeah, some people say WoW stands for World of Walking.
Nice. So.
Oh, and I've been playing Shovel Knight as well. Just pretty cool. It's like this little NES-inspired game. It feels like it's the NES game that was never made, actually, and it's a mashup of Metroidvania games and platformers and RPGs to the wazoo. The music is really awesome for 8-bit music, and it's got a very good sense of humor, which has me laughing real hard at times.
Yeah, it's the music has been made by Bert, Jake Kaufman, and he has all of the games he's been making music for. They have some really awesome tracks.
Yep.
Like Shantae.
Haven't played that.
You should play those. They're like super cheap on Steam now.
Yeah, we'll go
Anyway, I've been playing this new fighting game called Rising Thunder.
Is that the Mac one?
Yeah, it's this kind of robot themed thing.
Yeah.
And the main gimmick there is that the special moves are all one button, but there's a cooldown on them.
Oh. So it takes no execution at all? Like,
well, there's still combos. So there's still combos like in Street Fighter, and they're actually they can get pretty long.
Right.
But there's no Shoryuken motions or fireball motions or anything like that. They're just you hit a button and the fireball comes out. You hit a button and an uppercut comes out. That kind of thing.
Cool. Kind of like Smash then.
Well, somewhere in between actually.
Right.
My main complaint is that there's way too many buttons actually. So you have 3 buttons for normal moves, 3 for special attacks, and then you have a separate throw and super button. And they could easily have like make the game 4 buttons or 5 buttons. But yeah, it's like it's a bit too much.
Right. Well, do you play it with a controller or do you play it just keyboard and stuff?
I'm playing it with a Sega Saturn pad.
Oh wow.
It's been the most intuitive thing to play that game with.
Wow, weird.
Interesting.
How many buttons does a Saturn controller have?
It has exactly 8. It has the sticks face buttons and two buttons on the sides.
Right.
Which is exactly how many I need.
Cool. Couldn't you play with an N64 controller as well? Like that had kind of like the D-pad, word for buttons, and then 2 buttons, and then 2 on the shoulders plus the Z?
Well,
That would that has as many buttons as well.
Yeah.
Well, you could play it with anything, I guess. And the other thing, the other complaint I have is that the players so far have been awful. I mean, they're just hitting buttons full screen away, and it's like I'm not entertained when people are just doing that, and they don't have any thought there. But it's not the game's fault, obviously. It's the people playing it, and I guess if I get to higher ranks, it's gonna at least be a bit better. But that's what I've been playing so far, and then I've been playing some Street Fighter 4, and yeah, that's about my week so far.
Got any tournaments scheduled?
And there's one in October, and then there's an online tournament. Yeah. I'll finish one in next week, Monday next week, which when we are recording this is the 10th of August. Cool. So right. I'm going to be taking part in both of those.
Cool. Well, good luck.
Yep. Break a leg.
Yeah. And do post the links to the streams if you can in the show notes,
sure.
or whoever wants to watch it.
Yep.
I sure will do. So I can beat you next time.
So. Oh yeah, I just remembered. Yesterday I actually played something else than Witcher for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And it was Goat Simulator for the first time.
Goat Simulator? How's that?
Goat Simulator.
Oh, Goat Simulator, yeah.
Yes. Just felt like trying it. And yeah, it's pretty much as shitty and quickly slapped together as you'd think, because the whole game is basically just a big ass joke.
But it's a large open world, Jim. You love large open worlds.
It's too small open worlds.
Did you get the Goatsy DLC?
No. I just had the base game. So, but it's funny for what it is for a couple of hours, just messing around with crap. So I tried going on the roller coaster and the like seashore thingy. There's no way to hold on, so you basically just get thrown the fuck off. So, but it's about what it is. 2 hours of fun, and then don't think I'll play it again.
All right. Well, shall we move on to news?
Sounds good.
Cool. Jim, why don't you bring your stuff up?
Well, Rise of the Tomb Raider has been announced that it is exclusive to Xbox One for 1 year. It was previously announced that it was a timed exclusive for Xbox One, but nobody knew for how long. If it was just going to be for the holiday season 2015, and it would come out for remaining platforms in like February or something. But nope, it's 1 year. It's not until holiday season 2016 it's coming out on anything else than Xbox One, which is quite interesting and very annoying.
That's a correction in itself then, because last episode you said it was for the holiday season just.
That's all they had announced.
Right.
Holiday, it's exclusive holiday 2015. That was all that was announced officially. Nobody knew anything more than that.
Right.
And they clarified that recently, and yeah, it's 1 year. So it's one of those dickhead publisher moves for the sake of money, which a lot of people tend to be quite unhappy with.
But actually, it's quite strange that they do it this way, that they are announcing it that it's exclusive for 1 year beforehand, instead of kind of just implying it's exclusive, and then when they're about to release it on PS4, then they should announce that hey, it's not exclusive anymore. Now the guys with the PS4 that want the game, they're just gonna wait.
Yeah, but I heard somewhere that Sony kind of required them to do that.
Okay.
Otherwise, they couldn't publish on the PS4, I think. Might need a citation, like, the Wikipedia thing. You need to give your sources. Yeah.
Interesting.
And today is Gamescom day, and today we had the EA press conference, and we had the Blizzard initial press conference, which didn't announce anything really new, I guess, except for the Sims 4 expansion.
Yeah. The Sims 4 expansion. It's like... Well, I mean, yeah, I guess it's new. Like, you'd announce an NHL or FIFA game.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for the next version of NHL, like the last year or so, and the year before.
Right. I remember when NHL was actually Wayne Gretzky's hockey back on the Genesis days.
Damn. Last hockey game I played was on the NES back in like, Jesus, 93, I think.
Blades of Steel, that's a good game.
Haven't heard of it.
Well, that's the best hockey game on the NES.
Okay.
Cool.
It's one of those games where you start where the players start a fight, and whoever loses the fight gets the penalty, but the winner gets to stay playing.
That's amazing.
That's kind of like a fighting game mechanic.
Yeah, and now both of the players who start a fight get the penalty, so that's no fun.
Yeah. Now, for me, the best thing to come out of the EA press conference was Unravel, or more info and footage from Unravel. Pretty much just like it was with their E3 press conference, where everything was just, don't care, and Unravel looks amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. During E3, I thought it was a platforming game rather, but it turns out to be a puzzler, and I think it's a really cool, cute puzzler.
Yep.
Well, I don't know how cool it looked. I checked the announcement, and they were saying like this is super early, and like we shouldn't be showing this, and then they showed the footage, and it looked in still pictures it looks nice, but then you notice that okay, it's super early. You probably shouldn't show this.
Yeah, but even moving, it looks really nice and really well done.
Yeah, reminds me of Limbo a bit, the gameplay itself.
A little bit, yeah. It does look a bit like Limbo, but it looks a lot fucking prettier.
Yeah.
So no, I think it's probably the most interesting thing EA has shown off in years, to be honest.
Unless Mirror's Edge.
That looks cool, yes, but I'm not that convinced yet. Then again, I didn't like the first game very much. I kind of went meh after about an hour.
Right.
So I'm biased, probably.
I thought it was cool.
The concept was cool, but actually playing it, I found it quite annoying. So, but that's just me.
Right. I find Unravel weird to be a property of EA just because, like, you know, EA is this corporate giant that churns out Battlefields and Sims and stuff.
I know. Maybe they're taking a gamble with an indie studio because I think it's the first indie game that they've ever really backed, at least from such a small studio as far as I can recall.
Yeah, I think they're really looking for redemption.
Yeah.
I think what's happening here. I mean, even Ubisoft has been doing this lately, where they are publishing games like Valiant Hearts, which was this kind of weird World War One adventure game.
Yeah, they've done quite a few. They've done that one. They've done Child of Light. They've done Grow Home.
Yeah.
They've done quite a few.
And even Grow Home is something that you wouldn't think Ubisoft would publish. It's
No.
yeah.
But it's weird, isn't it? Like, I feel betrayed as an indie game dev that indie game devs are selling out to publishers. Because what it ends up like is like they get no advance money and then they get published by big publishers. So the big publishers still make their cut, but they didn't get any of the benefits of being under a big publisher.
From what I'm getting is that it's not that in the game devs are so-called selling out or whatever that means in this context. What they are doing is that they have internal teams that are kind of selling for the kind of indie aesthetic.
Right.
That's been well, it's gotten some popularity because people are getting bored of the big
AAA shit.
big AAA title, which is almost always the same crap, especially with Ubisoft there, where their stated plan is that they are making these franchises all the same.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, admittedly though, that's Ubisoft specifically because they have their like UbiArt team, which does all the Child of Light games and such. But for at least with Unravel, it seems to be an actual independent studio that EA decided to back because they really liked what they were working on.
I think it's really comfortable for publishers as it is right now because like they can just shell out the money whenever they think something's cool. Then they don't really take any risk because it's kind of validated by the community already. So they just go and collect your money.
Yep.
Well, I don't know. It's fine for the developer at least, if they keep their IP.
Yeah, exactly.
If they don't keep their IP, then I don't see what the point is.
No.
Right. Yeah.
Agreed.
There is that. But like the developer's taking all the risk, right? You spend hours of work that would be worth years of salary on a gamble for a game that actually ends up for a great part in a publisher's pocket. But yeah.
It would probably have to be some pretty decent deals for indie devs to sign up for it.
Yeah, I guess.
Rather than just, here's a bunch of money and now give us everything and your firstborn included.
Oh, it's been for quite a while now, so I'm just wondering why an indie dev. Usually, indie devs are specifically bored of this kind of system, so they want to do something on their own. If they're taking the risk anyway, they don't want to have middleman pocketing everything.
Yep.
No.
But it's kind of a phenomena all around. Like if you look at the Kickstarters going on, none of the Kickstarters out there are 100% crowdfunded anymore. was like always, oh, we've got investors, but we want to do a Kickstarter to validate if the public has an interest on it. Like that Castlevania successor game that they announced at the Microsoft press conference today, Bloodstained, yeah.
Well, with that one, they actually were, where they actually told on the Kickstarter that this isn't the this isn't the everything, the whole budget we have.
Yeah, which I think is fair.
Yeah, so they were telling the people straight up that, hey, we want this much money, but this isn't the whole budget. We have this company, which they actually didn't mention who it was, but anyway, we have this company and they are willing to back us if we get this goal, and that's what they did. But I think there was a similar thing with Shenmue 3. But they weren't as transparent about it. They were just made it seem like, okay, we get this much money, and then we make the game, and they don't mention at all that, hey, Sony is backing us with quite a bit of money.
That's quite evident with the E3 announcement, but yeah, they weren't very transparent about it.
You can kind of read it between the lines, sure, but they weren't straightforward about it, which is the main issue there.
Yeah. With Shroud of the Avatar as well, like the next Ultima Online, they did the whole Kickstarter funding thing, and then they kept on doing the funding thing on their website for a long time, until they actually like spilled the beans and said, oh, we've got a few external investors and we're not depending only on your money, but please keep on buying houses.
Okay.
That's nice.
Yeah. I felt betrayed, but well, we're the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Bloodstained Kickstarter was fine because they said it on the Kickstarter page that what the deal was.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's fine if you do it that way, but if you are kind of being secretive about it, that's the issue.
Yeah. So please, people, be forward about your Kickstarter and not being 100% crowdfunded.
Yep. If you want to be crowdfunded or partially crowdfunded, at least be open with the crowd you're asking money from.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, we talked about EA. How about Blizzard? There's a few new Hearthstone characters. There's a Brazilian Overwatch character, which I don't feel so good about being Brazilian myself. He doesn't really represent Brazilian, and his accent's completely off. I mean, hear my accent, hear his accent, you'll figure it out.
Alex is from Brazil, by the way, if people didn't know that.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of Heroes of the Storm heroes, including the Butcher from Diablo.
Oh, fresh meat. Sorry, I had to throw that in.
But nothing too interesting for me, at least.
No, I'm kind of not looking forward to the WoW expansion announcement either, because like it's been November since they released an expansion and they're already doing a new one.
And always make more money.
True.
Especially when you're owned by Activision.
Are they actually owned by Activision still? I thought they merged and then split apart, but are still cooperating or something.
No, they're still owned by Activision. They have full say over their operational shit, but they're still owned by Activision.
Damn.
And they're Activision Blizzard, not Blizzard anymore.
Well, that might explain why they're doing their shit, since they're making Bungie make weird shit, stuff with Destiny as well.
Yeah.
Still going strong.
He's still going strong.
Apparently for the Taken King, they're replacing Peter Dinklage's voice with Nolan North. Completely, like, from the very first mission. So Nolan North has recorded all the new stuff for The Taken King, but to make it seem consistent, he basically re-recorded all of Peter Dinklage's lines as well from the very first game as well. So
Did he come from the moon?
Probably. Nolan North is a wizard that came from the moon.
Oh, it backfired a ton, didn't it? When they first released Destiny, everyone's blaming Peter Dinklage for it being shit.
True. So
they had to put like
it
this
as well.
tons of reverb and effects on his voice to get it to sound what they kind of accepted.
Yeah, well, most of the backlash initially came from the alpha version, which had literally no sound effects on it. It was literally just the original plain audio recordings from the studio that was just thrown straight in.
Yeah.
They could do what they did in South Park when, what was it, Isaac Hayes left, and they had this episode called The Return of Chef, and they just cut all the cut line from the previous episodes and just jumbled them together.
That is amazing.
That's awesome. So Doom 4, they did show it's really, really fast-paced now.
Okay, sounds good.
Cool.
Which sounds cool, and they're going for like arena death matches for the multiplayer, which is great news in my opinion.
Yeah.
Nice.
Some people on the forums are crying like, "Oh, it's 2015. Death matches are so 90s."
Well, the thing is that we haven't had one for quite a while. Well, there's the new Unreal tournament, which is I guess going to be free to play. And then there's this, and then nothing else. So I don't understand why it would be a bad thing if we had an arena shooter once in a while.
I know. It's like, well, if you don't want an arena shooter, go play Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Yeah, I still think the world needs more arcade games, so that's a good move.
Yep.
I didn't actually see the multiplayer part of it. So I didn't. So you can explain. How is it? So you can explain the pace. Is it Quake level pace?
Yeah, it's totally like Quake 3 and Quake Live.
Okay.
It's really fast. You jump really fast. You fly off the walls, and it's everything is power up based. There's no health regen.
Okay.
And yeah, it
Cool.
looks like a lot of fun. You don't come with a loadout. You have to pick up the guns as you go.
Thought there was a beginning loadout, but you just but there were also guns in the arena. But the loadout was like between a pistol and the basic machine gun or something, and then you had the rest.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like you don't come fully loaded.
Yep. Reminds me of when I used to play Unreal Tournament.
Yeah.
Got in.
Anyway, how about the main subject we are talking about? We were supposed to talk about VR. At least that was the subject of the episode, the one about VR. So what's happening with VR now, and why is it important? Why wasn't it important before?
So I think like in the 90s there was this whole VR ML thing and like this 360 quick time experiences and all this sort of weird VR headsets that were bulky and didn't track very well. And I think what really happened now is technology has advanced a ton, and like even mobile phones have better sensors now and stuff. So the missing piece was the optics bit to actually make things look alright from a screen straight into your eyes, and Oculus has advanced quite a bit in that respect. So has Valve, and now they have like this new headset in collaboration with HTC. And I think people, like, it's been long enough that people can actually get interested about VR again, and people can put money behind VR again, which is probably the most important bit.
I remember the VR ML, and that was painful.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of a web where you're walking within the pages.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds cool as an idea, but then you try it out, and then you just wish you had an index page where you could click things and you could get there within 2 seconds instead of 5 minutes of walking.
Especially in the 90s internet. I mean, like, you have a mouse trail, but you can also walk through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it loads the thing, and okay, I'm on a 33.6 kilobaud modem.
Yeah.
It's supposed to load this thing. Could I please just have an index page?
Yeah.
Yep.
Same with those damn dapplets back then. But I think it was like a lot of it had to do with the technology limitations of the time, like dial-up networks and no GPUs back then. GPUs were kind of like getting introduced at the point that they began with this VRML thing.
And I think one of the things that one of the big things. Okay, so we have the technology, which is we have headsets that have proper resolution. They have head tracking, which is important.
Yeah.
And from the software side, we also have this kind of relatively easy way of having 2 cameras at once on a scene.
Well, it's easy if you got like 2 top tier GPUs, right?
Yeah, well, but if you think about programming, that's pretty easy actually. Just having 2 cameras on a scene, which wasn't as easy before, at least as far as rendering it goes.
No.
And and that's important too. That there's quite a bit of time since the last fuck up. So
yeah.
So people don't remember what kind of a clusterfuck it was last time.
Exactly.
And now now that it's less of a clusterfuck, the people are excited.
Well, no consumer version of stuff is out yet besides the Gear VR, so it's maybe a bit too early to say it's not a clusterfuck.
Well, there's Google Cardboard.
True, yeah, that's the first consumer version of VR, I guess.
Or the OnePlus cardboard as well.
Yeah.
Well, there's that version too. I should get one, I guess.
Yeah, I had a look. They were sold out.
Okay, so I guess I just need to come up with my own version.
I think you can print it still.
Eric Cardboard.
They had like the template for it, so you can print it and transfer it into cardboard and cut it out yourself.
Yeah, I remember actually seeing the instructions. They even instructed you like what type of lenses you should get, and like you should be able to find them at a hardware store.
Yeah.
So, no, I think we're just at a point where technology is advanced enough that you can actually make a VR headset that's acceptable in terms of how not shit it is versus how obviously shit it would have been with 90s technology.
Yep. Well, we still have some limitations, at least. I haven't tried the latest version, but the DevKit 1 version had the issue that the resolution was still really low enough that it hurt my eyes to watch. I mean, it's not like it offended me or that it looked bad, but it's longer periods of time when you're watching low quality image like that, it just makes your eyes hurt.
I think it has a lot to do with the content that you're trying to show as well. Like there were a ton of realistic demos, but I ran Minerift on it on DevKit 1, and that was perfectly fine because you look at Minecraft, it looks shit, so it keeps looking shit on the Oculus. But even though it looks shit, it's immersive as fuck. And there, I really missed like having inputs that I could see my hands and do stuff with my hands because I just really felt like it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
gamepads are somewhat limiting in the sense that, like, if you start turning with a gamepad, then your head goes spinning at the exact same moment because you're supposed to spin your head that direction, you know?
Yeah.
And
The issue I have with lots of these kinds of VR ports, ported games that already exist and they are porting it to Oculus, for example. The issue is that they just map the mouse movement or whatever you use to look. They map it to the head tracking.
Yeah.
And then if you're playing, you're trying to look with the mouse at the same time as you're looking at with the headset, and that doesn't work at all.
Yeah, you get totally seasick. I played Half-Life 2 like that, and you get totally seasick from it. But what I actually end up doing is like just getting up from my chair and turning around and looking at people to shoot them. But optimally, I guess you'd have like a hand controller that has position tracking, and then your aiming is completely separate from your looking, which is the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to have that to be a viable shooter in a virtual reality.
Yeah, there are some shooters that already do this on all the consoles. I think Time Splitters had this where the thing you are aiming isn't tied to the center of what you're looking at. So you could aim at the same time as you're looking at somewhere else, which is what this virtual thing needs. Otherwise, you just get seasick. Like.
Yep.
Yeah. Like I remember back in DevKit 1 days, I haven't seen them as much for DevKit 2, and we're talking Oculus DevKit here. There was this gaze shooters that use the Razer Hydra as well. You had to have a Razer Hydra, and then you have like a pistol on each hand, and each one of the two joysticks of the Hydra would be in one hand. And there you actually had like a full immersive VR experience that you're actually shooting at shit.
Nice.
But then again, I wonder if shooters are really the ultimate application of VR, because I've played around with the first DevKit of the Rift, and what really caught my attention were the horror games. I mean, even at such low res as DevKit 1 was, dungeon crawlers where everything was dark and like there were creatures coming at you and you had no weapon on your hand were scary as shit.
Something like Punity on the Oculus could be.
Yep.
Could be something quite. Maybe I wouldn't want to play that. Now that I
put on a diaper before you try it.
Now that I think about it, but it's an option, and I think lots of these games that you are in a cockpit, those kinds of games have taken off with the Oculus, at least, like EVE Online, Euro Truck Simulator, Elite has taken off. Elite was quite nice. Racing games just about any racing game might do.
Yeah, it's totally superior to 3 monitor setups. Like you have full field of view, but since you're always with your hand on the wheel and you have a wheel in front of you, that's very, very real. The guy I bought my DevKit 1 from used it for racing for a long time, and he only sold the Rift because he stopped racing.
Yeah, and since you are not, for example, shooting anything, the aiming isn't a problem there. You are just looking at the cockpit as you would in an actual car, which is.
And you're there with your hands on the wheel as well, so like you have your hands on the wheel and your hands are on the wheel on the virtual cockpit, so it makes sense. Even though, like at some points in time, I tried to just open my hand to see if they were real. And like I'm not one of these retarded YouTubers that go screaming, "Oh my god, it's a terror!" But at some point your mind makes the switch and you're in there.
Maybe they should have this kind of touch sensitivity on the wheel, that when you let off the wheel, then then the model inside of the car also takes the hand off the wheel.
Well,
maybe we'll get there at some point.
You need movement tracking, right? Like if you show the middle finger to the next driver.
Yeah.
You need,
Yeah.
okay, so you want some gloves that you can.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Admittedly, though, when it comes to virtual reality for me, I'm looking forward to far, far distant future when we literally just connect something to our head and it just intercepts all nerve impulses to and from senses and the brain. So all your senses basically get input from a computer and your physical movements get fed into the computer instead of to your body. Basically full dive.
I think everyone does, but then we're getting into Matrix territory there, right? Like you could have fully simulated realities that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the kind of virtual reality I'm looking forward to. If I'm ever going to see it before I die, probably not. Maybe, who knows? Technology moves quite fast, but we shall see.
Right. But on the consumer side of things, like, what actually happened that got people interested in VR? What are people looking forward to doing in VR? Or are people just looking for novel experiences? Kind of like, well, the iPhone was cool, so I want a VR headset. I don't know.
I think what's happening with the games, at least, is that for the last 2 or 3 generations, we've just been playing the same games with improved graphics.
Yeah.
So the VR part of the experience would be something new that adds something that's not just more foliage or an increased resolution or these kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought. I mean, if you think of it, maybe the Wii has whet the appetite of pretty much everybody to like better input, well, better in quotes and with asterisks.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also kind of the next step in making games more immersive, because every console generation, we've just gotten prettier and prettier looking games, which kind of is to enhance the immersion into the game, because you feel more like you're in a real world. The finer details that you have in the world, the more real it feels. And the real next step to that, aside from just bumping up the resolution and maybe getting a 4K TV, is strapping on a virtual reality headset and just having a full 180-degree view of that world in high detail.
True, though, what's the difference really from like strapping on a VR headset or just playing a first-person shooter on a really big screen? There's very little difference there.
There is and there isn't. I would imagine, especially because I haven't had much time with any VR headset myself, but I would imagine that when a view takes up your full, or a game, for example, takes up your full field of view, it somewhat tricks your brain in a way that a big screen just can't. And I remember going to an IMAX screen in Stockholm, actually, at the Natural History Museum, where the screen was literally a 180-degree sphere that was projected onto. Yeah. So this 1-hour nature documentary I watched was literally covering my whole field of view. I couldn't see anything but the actual picture from that thing, and it was really amazing. And it did feel more like you were there because you couldn't see anything else.
Right, but maybe that's the future instead of VR headsets? I don't know.
It could be, but it means you can't interact with it. It's good for watching a movie because you just sit there and you watch it, but if you want to interact and move around, you can't really do that if you're stuck in a seat with a fixed screen in the ceiling.
True.
There's also the fact that Jim mentioned that you have the whole thing covering up your whole field of vision. It's one thing. The other thing is that since you have a screen projected to each eye with a slightly different view, it's like eyes usually work. You have that's how death happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you could have like an FPS on a 3D TV and it would be the same, right? Okay, but it's not.
Maybe. Yes and no. I mean, I'm still not sure that even with the VR headset it would properly work, because one of my main gripes with 3D TVs or 3D movies in cinemas is that it doesn't matter how close or far an object feels to you due to the 3D effect. Yeah. To see it clearly, you still have to focus at the exact physical distance between your eye and the screen, regardless of what the distance feels like, which kind of breaks the 3D for me and mostly just annoys me. And I'm not sure if the same thing would apply as much with a VR headset. I would imagine as such, since the screen is physically close to your eyes, but at the same time, for the most part, they're kind of so close to your eye that it hurts focusing that close if you like just try to hold a book up at the same distance. So it might be something with the optics. I don't know. I'd probably have to actually use a VR headset for more than just 5 minutes to get a proper opinion of that.
Okay, so what kind of VR should we be imagining in the future? There's quite a few ways of there are quite a few of these kinds of fictional depictions that exist.
True.
So Jim is a fan of Sword Art Online, the only fan in the whole world.
No, I'm not.
I'm really glad you don't like it, Eric. I felt I was the weird one.
It's awesome. So, admittedly, though, George, he loves it as well, but he just blatantly refuses that any episodes exist beyond episode 14. It's episodes 1 to 14, that's it. 15 to 24? What? What are you talking about? They don't exist. There are no such episodes.
What happens in 15? Spoil me.
I guess they switch games.
It's completely switches games, even.
Oh,
So
right.
they leave Aincrad and SAO.
Oh, yeah,
and-
they go into this Wild West game, isn't it?
No, that's season 2. They go to Alfheim Online. It's a kind of like fairyland and stuff. So, but anyway, to get back on topic about VR, Sword Art Online is an anime that basically has a so-called full dive system that takes over all your senses and blocks all your physical movements to your body and inputs them into the game world instead. And I think it's one of my favorite anime shows of all time, and it's also my favorite depiction of VR in science fiction, simply because you get a complete full dive, and it is an actual real virtual reality that people supposedly experience in this show. And the main concept of the show is that the very first so-called full dive virtual reality game ends up being a trap. So the first 10,000 players get trapped in there. They cannot log out at all, and if they get disconnected from the game or are physically removed from the headset will fry their brain with microwaves, killing them. And physically or dying in the game itself will also destroy your brain in the real world. So this virtual reality actually becomes the real reality for these 10,000 people that are stuck in there. And then the show kind of follows how these people cope with it and the kind of social structures that develop over the next few years in this virtual reality, and how they kind of treat it. Even things like mundane things like cooking ends up being strangely interesting when it's a completely virtual thing in a MMORPG kind of game that they're actively living in as if it's their real world.
You made it sound so interesting, but it's all about a guy trying to get on a girl's pants.
To some degree, yes, and to some degree, no. There's a lot more to it as well, but that's one of the things that does happen. At least if you read the original light novels, the uncensored version, there is a chapter that is very adult themed.
Well, there's also Dot Hack Sign with it, which has the Dot Hack series in general, which has a very quite a similar premise, I guess, that there are people who have this. In that game, they have a VR set and they use a controller, but the idea is the same. Some of the people get stuck and can't log out, and Dot Hack Sign follows one character that can't log out, and it's mostly just guild politics.
Yeah.
It's not too interesting when you explain it, but it's mostly guild politics. But there's no getting into people's pants, sadly.
They have Ready Player One and the Oasis. I joke to people that Oasis is the reason Facebook bought Oculus. So the premise about Ready Player One is like you're in this post-apocalyptic world. People are living on basically trailer castles. Trailers piled on top of each other because the whole mainland kind of got destroyed. And they don't have anything better to do actually in the real world than to actually go and play virtual reality stuff. So in a way, it's kind of like Second Life. You can work in VR, you can go to school in VR, you can play in VR, you can chat in VR, and everything comes attached with it. And the cool thing about Ready Player One is the guy who created the Oasis. He's a major 80s geek, and this is like 2050, 2060, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong in the corrections next time. And he actually leaves in an Easter egg that if anyone finds it, they'll gain full control over the Oasis, which turns out to be most people's realities, right? Because like they're stuck in these trailers and they don't have anything to do, so people basically leave in the Oasis. And everything about that Easter egg is 80s related, like things from movies like Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Breakfast Club and such, to like Atari games and music from the 80s like Oingo Boingo and such, which is really cool. But the VR part of the thing is like the Oasis, you access it with a VR headset. There's different generations and models of VR headsets, and you have the most basic one where you have a gamepad and just some glasses, to like the ones where you're in kind of like this hamster ball that you can walk around in a full haptic suit that gives you 100% tactile feedback on everything and even smell towers. And it's pretty cool. It's about this battle between like just regular guys trying to find the Easter egg and this major EA-like corporation that has tons of avatars and people farming stuff for their hunt of the Easter egg because they want to dominate the Oasis and thus rule the world.
Does sound very interesting. It's definitely a book I need to read.
Yeah, they're making a movie out of it.
Seriously?
Yeah, and the writer, Ernst Cline, he's one of the guys that he's the guy that bought the original DeLorean from the Back to the Future series, by the way.
Cool.
On a completely unrelated note. He wrote the screenplay as well, so I think it's gonna turn out pretty okay.
So he's as big of an 80s fan as the guy within the book, so...
Exactly, yeah. And he has a new book out now called Armada, which is based on the premise that, like, video games are invading Earth.
So, pixels, but not shit?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
exactly. I think his timing was awful. Because that movie's so shit.
I haven't seen it yet, but I'm gonna have to watch it just because it's pretty much being branded as the worst movie ever made.
Continuing on the VR topic,
Yes.
did Jim see any dot hack Legend of the Twilight?
I did not. I've seen 14 episodes of dot hacks / sign, or however the hell you're supposed to pronounce it.
It's dot hack / and whatever. Usually
Yeah.
that's the theme they go
Yep.
for. But Legend of the Twilight. Did I tell you about the series? I think I have.
I think
Multiple
you have,
times.
yes, years ago, but I haven't actually seen it yet.
It's essentially dot hack sign, where there's this brother and sister that get trapped, like the original in the original series. They have one character gets trapped, but yeah, the brother and sister like each other a bit too much. Then that gets kind of
Incestuous.
uncomfortable. Yeah, and some guys when you mention that series, they say, "Oh, .hack incest."
Oh god.
Well, it's there in Game of Thrones, and no one's made the fuzz out of it. So.
True. Then again, maybe Game of Thrones took inspiration from anime.
So Jim watched some Log Horizon.
Yes. It's not very much related to VR, as far as you know yet, at least. But it basically, the premise is that there's a bunch of people that wake up in a world that basically looks like the world from a game that they normally play, a MMORPG, except it looks like the real world with real physical buildings, grass, so on. It doesn't look like a 3D rendered world to them, but it is positively the world from the game because they look like their avatars in the game. The cities are there, they can cast spells, they have attack things. And they do have a kind of level system and a UI that is visible to them within their field of view, so they can see like avatar names and levels of other players and so on. But they never really touch on how they're there or why they're there or even how they can get out or if they're actually stuck in a VR headset or something else.
Okay, this seemed like a common theme lately. The idea of what was it, Danmachi, or what was the long name for it? Is it wrong to hit girls in a dungeon or something?
Oh yeah. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon? Yeah.
Yeah, that one. And it's fun. The funny thing is that it's not even about picking girls in a dungeon. It's just the first episode where the main character falls in love with this girl there, and then the series kind of forgets about it.
Nice. It becomes like this harem goddess-based anime afterwards, isn't it?
Yeah, and the idea is that the world is real, but it does have this kind of it's basically this kind of fantasy world where everyone everyone levels up, and then they get magic items and that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And yeah. It was just dumb. I watched it all, but it was dumb.
I haven't seen any of it. I might give it a try just because it sounds funny.
Well, isn't that kind of like proof that humanity is making an exodus from the boring real world into a game-oriented world, or to gaming worlds in general? I saw a TED Talk by, I don't remember her name, but her point was that like games actually have very strict or very clear objectives, and they give you very clear rewards. So people like to play games much more than they like leveling up, in quotes, in real life. And maybe the solution would be to make real life a lot more game-like, in the sense that like giving people purpose and actually rewarding them for fulfilling their purpose, like charity or, helping people.
It was what was her name? Jane McGonigal, and her talk was about how reality is broken.
Yeah.
I think that was the thing. I've seen it, and for me, it's kind of I kind of rejected the idea because I'm not a huge gamification fan, even though I like games. But the concept of gamification is kind of not my alley.
I mean,
it reminds me more of the free to play stuff than actual something that actually convinces people to do things.
True. I think her point was quite valid, though her solution probably wasn't.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting idea, an interesting way to look at why games are so popular.
So yeah, I guess like VR headsets are the future in the sense that we'll be continuing this exodus from reality, the boring reality, into more interesting realities. And a VR headset means we'll be more immersed in that reality and will become more of our reality than our reality can be.
Yep.
Switching gears, you guys want to talk about the hardware? Feel like it?
About what?
The hardware, like Morpheus versus Revive versus Rift, and what are the differences, and why one's cool and why another one isn't?
I actually have. I don't have a lot of things to say about the differences between hardware for Morpheus and the Revive or the Rift. The Rift is the only one I've actually tried.
Yeah, same here.
I don't think, and Morpheus, I think nobody has tried except the developers that work for Sony.
Yeah,
for example.
There's been a couple of journalists, but yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to talk about something that's just specs.
Yeah.
So at least from our perspective, it's just going to be specs.
True. The only rant I have about Revive is like I feel Valve has betrayed Oculus in the sense that they've shared a ton of research in the beginning and they went back and forth, and all of a sudden Valve comes up with their own headset along with HTC. It's kind of like shit.
It's not so much about betrayal, it's more just Valve didn't really like where Oculus was taking it and figured they could do better themselves, I would imagine.
True. Gabe Newell must be a real smart man to think he can outsmart John Carmack, but...
Well, John Carmack isn't a business guy though. He's really smart, but he's a developer.
True.
First and foremost.
So John Carmack gave a big talk on GDC about mobile VR, and Oculus is putting like a ton of effort into launching Samsung Gear, which is probably the first mobile VR headset if you don't count Google Cardboard.
Yep.
John Carmack was talking about how like his grandmother uses it for looking at 360-degree pictures and finds it awesome.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you see like VR evolving for mobile? The one advantage I see about mobile VR is that you have no fucking wires, and that's great because there's nothing worse than tying yourself up in the Oculus.
Isn't the final version of the Oculus supposed to be wireless?
No, it's still gonna have a wired HDMI connection.
Okay. I thought it was wireless because they have a fucking battery indicator and stuff on it.
Yeah, it doesn't have a USB connection anymore, but it does have an HDMI connection because otherwise the lag would be unbearable.
Oh, they need to create better Wi-Fi.
Or make a console out of it. Like they're trying to do the mobile thing first because they think people will be more open to it in the sense that it's portable, they can take it with them, they can show it to friends, and they don't have any wires that they need to have or any gamepad or anything. Maybe the future of VR is actually not the Oculus, not the Revive, not Project Morpheus, but actually something you can take with you and it's self-contained.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Because, I mean, few people are actually going to put in the effort and the money to buy a full gaming VR setup for home for their desktop versus people who can just get a plastic add-on for their phone for like $50 and hey, I got VR.
The big thing with the mobile VR is that you're not tied. You don't have any wires. You don't have any extra stuff. You just have the phone and whatever you plug into it, and then that's your VR set.
Yeah.
And even something like Google Cardboard, even though that sounds like a silly idea, it still works as a VR thing, which is kind of interesting to me at least. And yeah, and the mobile being underpowered thing is also, it's something that's going to be solved with time. Mobile phones are getting more powerful by the day. So
Hell yes.
True.
My current phone is about twice as powerful as my laptop from 2008.
yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of systems on a chip going on right now, right? Like the iPad runs on a system on a chip based on an ARM architecture, but even the PS4 and the Xbox One are basically systems on a chip based on an x86 architecture.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's fun to go to. It's funny to go to. For example, going to my parents' place, and they have a laptop there, and it can barely run HD video, and then I show them some YouTube video in 720p 60.
Yeah.
No, 1080p 60, and it runs completely fine there on the 1+1.
Yeah, that's nuts. That's
Yeah.
just nuts.
So and the 1+1 hasn't been the most powerful. Isn't on the higher end of power anymore. So
Yeah.
the limitations of mobile are becoming less and less relevant by the day, which is of course good for developers for the most part. But if you like limitations, then you're getting less of those.
True. Well, to close it off, there was this one finding from scientists in the past few months, like this theory that our current universe is actually made out of little pixels, and that you can actually see traces of them being pixels if you look really, really, really deep down the microscope. So
It's not just the last couple of months. It's been ongoing for a couple of years now. There's been various experiments and some theories about how we might be in a simulation. And it's an interesting concept, and it's probably a bit too wide of a scope for us to mention specific articles, so just Google around, I would say.
yeah. There's also this movie called The 13th Floor, where they explore exactly that. Like mankind has come up with a simulation that's so real that the people in the simulation think they're not in a simulation. Then someone goes into that simulation and tells those guys, look, you're in a simulation. They flip out, only to come out to his world and figure out that he was also in a simulation, which is pretty cool.
Yep. Admittedly, it is a 16-year-old movie, so apologies to anyone who we accidentally might have spoiled the plot for. But hopefully you might have seen it.
Well, it's the idea. The idea of this has been around for. It's not a new idea at all.
I'm sure in 60s, 70s sci-fi it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, but let's not talk about sci-fi from the 60s or 70s. Let's talk about things that ideas that are from 2,000 years ago. There's a Chinese guy that says that was wondering whether he's a man dreaming he's a butterfly, or is it the other way around?
Right.
Because you don't know. You don't know.
Even Hindu philosophy, right? Like they have these words to describe the planes of existence, and they have nirvana at the very top, and they call the plane where we live in Maya, and Maya means the illusion. So they actually believe we're living in an illusion, and once you get to nirvana, you get to actually see things for the reality they are.
Yeah. So the modern idea is just they have added computers into it, but the idea of the world being fake is actually quite a new thing. No, quite an old thing. I mean, it's it's pretty old.
We'll be publishing new episodes on a bi-weekly basis to our website, Romdo.io, iTunes, and SoundCloud, so make sure to subscribe, follow, or add us to your podcast listening app. See you on the next one. Bye.